Hello and welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about California's K-12 online content project, access for all K-12 public schools. I'm Deborah Ford Salyer at Teaching Books. You can reach me at deb@teachingbooks.net. And right now I'm wearing my project hat and I want to introduce my colleagues, Wendell Butler from ProQuest, also on the East Coast with me, and Laurel Green, coming to us live from Hollywood, who is our training consultant from Britannica. A little bit of housekeeping. If you're watching us live, please make sure that your microphones are muted and your cameras are stopped so that we can save our bandwidth for what we want to show you today. Today, we want to talk about your access through the state library and Prop 98. Everything we talk about today, you already have access. This project started 3 years ago with funding from Prop 98. It's a $3 million project saving $147 million for taxpayers across the state, from the Redwoods to the border. For every public school student, but that access has been extended to private schools. So private schools, you also have Britannica, and this year we have extended the whole project over to public libraries as well. So if you're a private school, you can get access at your public library. Today we want to talk about what the project is, what does that mean to you, and we're going to give each company time to talk for about 10 minutes or so about what resources are available, specifically today about middle school and high school resources, and then tomorrow we'll talk about resources that are specific to elementary. Though you can take what we're talking about right now and then just expand it one way or the other. These resources are free, there's unlimited use, and every day new things are added. Today we'll talk about how you can read them in multiple languages, and they'll speak to different needs of students. So we hope that you'll enjoy our presentations. At the end of the presentation, we will talk about real estate, as in location, location, location. We're going to make you want them, and then we'll talk about where are they, because access is critical to the success of this. And we want to make sure that you're set up correctly in your district or at your school or in your county. And we want to make sure that everyone knows that you have it and where it is. It has been widely used over almost 600% since we started distance teaching, and it reaches all kinds of students. And so without further ado, I would like to pass the screen to Laurel, who will talk to you about Britannica, which has resources for everyone.
All right, thanks, Deb. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen for everyone here. And I'm going to, for the purpose of this, I'm going to go ahead and stop my video so you can just focus on what's on my screen. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Laurel Green. Like Deb said, I'm the education consultant for the Western region for Britannica. I am a former teacher, born and raised in California. I live in the state with you guys. And like I said, former teacher, spent some time working in private education. I worked for nonprofits, working with curriculum development for after school programs, did a little bit of everything before coming to Britannica. Here's my contact information, but at the end of my time, I'll make sure I put it in the chat so that you have that information and you can reach out to me that way as well. So you have two resources with Britannica through the California State Library. The first one is Britannica School, and Britannica School has over 145,000 encyclopedia articles across 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school. We're going to be focusing on the middle and high school for the purposes of this session. Has downloadable photos and videos. You'll see the articles are correlated to the standards. There are primary source documents available for you, a world atlas, Merriam-Webster's dictionary, and of course, what's so important right now is a lot of us are doing distance learning is remote. You can use Britannica School on any type of device that you may be using at home. But similarly, we have also Britannica Escolar. So this one is the Spanish language resource. So this is for native speakers, bilingual students, and students who are learning Spanish. This one has 2 levels of content, a primary and secondary, but has also thousands of articles, images, videos, maps, all sorts of things that are in there. Both resources have a My Britannica, so you can create a personal account to store content that's your favorite content, but also share collections of content, great for remote learning. World Atlas, Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, and you can use this across any type of device that you may be using as well. So now I'm going to take us into the resource. So what you're going to see here is that we have our elementary, middle, and high section. We're going to start by looking into our middle school section. And you'll see this is our home page. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, but we're going to do a search on the Atom. And as you can see, it's going to bring up certain recommended things. You can go right into one of those resources that might be of interest to you. But what we're going to do is we're going to click on this little magnifying glass to go into our search results page. And in our search results page, you'll see at the top here, there are these 3 different levels. So essentially what it is that you can access the content from either the elementary, middle, or high school level while still searching in the middle school level or any of the levels that you may be searching in. So if I'm looking at stuff at level 2, the middle school level, but I'm curious what the elementary school level has, all I have to do is click the mouse here. Similarly, level 3 for high school. And then it will default here to the articles first, but we're going to talk about all these great things that are along the side here first before we dive into some of the features of the article. So let's take a look at an image. So you'll see the images here. All the images are rights cleared for non-commercial use. That means that you can feel free to put them into a project, put them onto a website, as long as it's non-commercial. You're not making any type of monetary gain over it. You don't have to worry about copyright infringement at all, and you can feel safe about your students using them. You can right-click them to save the images directly if you want to. And then we have a whole bunch of different little icons along the side here that allow you to favorite it. If you make one of those My Britannica accounts, you can print this out, and then there's different ways that you can share it. You can email it directly from here, and if you click on that, a little box will pop up for you to do that. But then we also have ways to share this with a direct link if you want to copy that. Or if you use something like a Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, you can easily share it that way as well. But then we also have, what you'll see, this little checkbox here is our automatic citations. And we provide those for our images, videos, and articles. And so you select your citation style, maybe you use APA instead of MLA, and it's going to easily put that information there, making it very easy for your students to find the information they need to correctly cite sources when they need that information. And then if you look at our videos, we're going to see some of the similar sort of features that are here. Let's click on one of our videos here. So one thing though that you'll notice, it's a little different of course, is that the text is provided on the bottom here. So if students are having connection issues, they can still get the content of what the video is talking about here, or also have that to read along if they want to. But if you press play, you'll see a couple of additional features that are going to be here for you. If you want to download these videos and use them in that way, you can. But we also have accommodations to toggle on for audio descriptions or turn on closed captioning if you want to do that as well, while still using a lot of those same features that I was showing you before. So you can still get those automatic citations for the videos if you want to, or share these videos into whatever learning management system you might be using. In our dictionary, which is provided by Merriam-Webster, here you'll find the definition. You'll be able to hear the pronunciation if you want to.
Atom.
And then when we get into the article, I'm going to show you how you can use the dictionary in a really helpful way while working through the material using what we called our quick click dictionary. So when we get into the article, I'm going to show you how that works. We provide a list of a selection of magazines and journals provided by EBSCO. And so if you see all the different ones that are provided, but if they note this little PDF version, that means it's going to be sort of like a scan with all the images and things, where the other ones will just provide you the text of that journal or magazine article. So if you click on the PDF portion, that's what's going to give you all the images and various things that came along with that magazine or journal. We also have a selections of web's best sites. These are sites that our editorial department has put together that we think are appropriate for that age group. And like I mentioned, you can always, if you want to see what the other levels have, you can see that you'll get some different content based on what age group you're looking at. So there's a lot more options on the atom for the high school level than, of course, what you're seeing here at the middle school level. So something to keep in mind when looking for content. If you're not finding quite what you're looking for, always good to check that out. And then we have a selection of primary sources and ebooks that are available for you on a whole bunch of different topics. So if you want to read about the mighty atom, you have that here, or even Dwight Eisenhower talking about some of the things related to atoms. You have all that kind of content to be able to search here. So some great primary sources for you to look at as well. Now we're going to go into the article and take a look at some of the features that are there. So within our article, you will see that, that we have the ability to adjust the text level complexity, similar to the way that we were able to do that with the content when we were searching. So if students are struggling with the content in an article, they can adjust the content to move down to level 1, access the elementary level of the text if they need to. This can be really helpful, especially when you're looking at something like our high school level text, which I won't make everyone seasick by going down, but if you were to look at this bar here, it's a very dense article, has a lot of content. So if students are struggling with the content, one way you can talk with them about these levels is saying, level 1 is going to give them a nice broad overview, level 2 will give them detailed, and level 3 will go highly detailed. So if students are struggling with the content, you can talk with them about working their way up by getting support, and maybe not feeling as overwhelmed by the amount of content in the level that you're assigning, to step down a level, work on getting sort of a basic understanding, and then work their way up if they need to. Another thing that we have is the ability to use that quick click dictionary that I was talking about. So if you're going through and maybe you get to the word property and they're not sure what it is, they can double click on it. It will pop up with the definition. They can still hear that pronunciation if they need to, but also get the Spanish word as well. And then you're going to see a lot of the same sort of features. We can still send things if we need to. We can still favorite if you want to print, get that automatic citation. But you also can translate these things, the language to read, using Google Translate, about 80 different languages. So if you want to change that so students can get support with family members at home in a language that family might be more comfortable supporting them in, or if they just want to explore and share what they're learning with their family in their primary language, this is a great option that's available to them. And then we also have the option to have this read aloud to us in English.
Introduction. The tiny units of matter known as atoms are the basic building blocks of chemistry.
So that's a great way to help with reading fluency, or if students are more of auditory learners. And then you can also increase or decrease the font if you need to as well. And then you'll see along the top here a little teacher tab, and if you click on that teacher tab, it's going to give you that Lexile measure that's provided, but then you're also going to be able to go in here and look up your standards, look up for California, and find out what standards this article helps to support, which can be really helpful for lesson planning. In the home page, you're going to see that we have all sorts of scrolling activities here. There's usually a little daily buzzword that will tell them a different word to help build vocabulary. And then we also have a little section down here on new and revised articles, so you can see things being updated in real time. And then you can see here, like we had some updated last week on the 25th, we had a few on the 23rd. So you're able to see that there's changes being happening here. We do about 1,200 updates to Britannica school content every month for you. So that's a great place to show them that. And then I'm just gonna pop into the high school section. There's several different browsing features. You'll see them on the middle end, high school pages. You can do an article and media browse, and those will just take options of topics that are of interest to you, and you can zoom in and look at those specific things. Like maybe you're really interested in chemistry and you want to see specifically what kinds of videos we have related to those things. You can do that. We have a biography browse, and the biography browse is going to allow you to search by era, cultural association, what they're known for, and even gender. So if you want to pull up and look at, provide some female biologists for your students to learn about, that's an option. You can pull out that information. We also have the World Atlas. And toward the USA, one's going into the world, the other's going to focus on the United States and give you states fact. But this is Britannica School paired with Britannica School content paired with Google Maps. So for example, if I toggle over Egypt here, it's it's going to pop up and then give me a lesson summary, little information about it, a profile, and related information that's provided there for me. And based on where I'm moving around in my map, it'll then populate with that information for me. And then what's really cool, because this is Google Maps, is I could take this into satellite view. If I had time, I'd zoom into Egypt and show you. And then you can drop this little person here anywhere on the map that you have there that has little blue dots and be able to walk around and look at the pyramids, which is great for if you're studying in history, a certain place in the world, or you're looking at the setting of a novel. You can utilize this map in this way to really help make that come alive and help students visualize and understand what they're studying. We also have our compare countries section. So if you're wanting to compare two different countries, for example, Afghanistan and Algeria, it's going to bring up all the different stats and different facts about the different places, while also being able to look at articles and media that's available to you. So in my last little bit of time here, what I'm going to do now is take you over and show you Britannica Escolar. So Britannica Escolar is going to look very similar to what we were just looking at with Britannica School, except this is written by our Spanish editorial team. So if we go into the secondary section, we can do a search here on the atom. But one of the things that's really great about this, once again, not a computer-based translation, like when we were looking at the things we could translate with Google Translate. Instead, this is going to be written in Spanish for students, but then you can also have the option to be able to have this read aloud in Spanish if you want.
Introducción. Estructura de la materia. El mundo en que vivimos es extraordinariamente diverso.
And then you're still able to use a lot of the same features. The quick click dictionary is still here. You can still print, get those automatic citations, and adjust the font if you need to. You're also going to be able to go into that home page, still look for biographies and do different browses, use the atlas if you want to. And then we also still have the place where you can see where things are being updated in real time. So on the 26th, you can see all the different content that was updated. And then if you're looking for a place to have the news provided for you in Spanish, we have that on the home page here for you as well. So that was my quick little sort of whirlwind tour of all of this information. I hope it got you guys interested in going in and exploring. And if you have any other further questions, I'm going to put my information in the chat. Just reach out to me and I'd be happy to give you any support that you need. I don't see any questions in the chat box here, but I'll be keeping an eye out. If you have any questions that come along during the rest of the presentation, I'll be here to help support you. But without any further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and pass it over to Deb.
Okay. So I'm Deborah Salyer, and I'm going to talk to you about teaching books. So hold your hat, let's jump right in there and let's hear directly from an author and find out about why Jason Reynolds wrote Look Both Ways. We're going to listen to the Meet the Author recording just for a moment. Great book for middle and even for high school.
This is Jason Reynolds, and I'm the author of Look Both Ways. Look Both Ways is a book written in a series of stories that are all interconnected about one neighborhood and one school, and it's all about exploring what happens when the bell rings and school is over. I think so often we think about school as lockers and school buses and classrooms and bells, but really the most interesting part of school is that 10 to 15-minute walk home when there are no adults around to watch young people.
Jason goes on to talk about this series of stories. There are 10 interconnected stories about what happens between the classroom and their homes. So we get the backstory, we listen to Jason talk, we can see it, we can hear it. We can also, just like Britannica, we can translate it into a different language so we can read it in the language of our family while we listen to Jason talk. And then these Meet the Author recordings, they will read a little bit from it. So let's listen to him read.
Now I'm going to read a bit of Look Both Ways. This story was going to begin like all the best stories, with a school bus falling from the sky. But no one saw it happen. No one heard anything. So instead, this story will begin like all the good ones, with boogers. If you don't get all them nasty half-baked goblins out your nose, I promise I'm not walking home with you. And I'm not playing. Jasmine Jordan said this like she said most things, with her whole body, like the words weren't just coming out of her mouth, but were also rolling down her spine.
You get the idea. But what a hook to grab a kid and make him or her want to read the rest of the book. Teaching Books is full of those kinds of resources, some that are created by us for you, and others that we gather from vetted sources from around the globe. Here's a book page. You can see what it looks like. There's the Meet the Author recording. We also have audio excerpts from thousands of books. Kids can get a little taste of what the book sounds like. In fact, just today, I listened to an audio excerpt because I needed to know some proper nouns that were in the book that I was reading, and I didn't know how to say those. So that piece saved me. You'll also see video book trailers, and just like Britannica, also like Laurel mentioned, you have permission to share these in all the ways that you would share anything else that you're trying to teach. You'll also find vocabulary list where you see the words as they are used in the book, given the definitions, examples from the book itself, and so much more. There's even a Google preview now. If you are teaching from home, or if you're a librarian with no library, you can use Google preview and let kids have touchless browsing, and they look at the Google preview, and there are lots and lots of pages in most of those books, so they can get a little bit of taste of what that book is like. Now, one thing that I might do if I were the classroom teacher, or if I'm a librarian trying to get my teachers to use teaching books, I might have listened to this Meet the Author recording and think, oh, I know exactly who to send this to. So I click on the red arrow and I share this page with that teacher or with that student, and they have immediate access. They don't have to know location, location, location. They know exactly, they go straight into whatever it is, and they have direct access. You can also add it to your digital calendar, upload it to your Google Classroom as a material or as an assignment. You could even post it on social media if you'd like to. You can get a link that you can copy and paste and put anywhere. And then we also have these shelf talkers. So when we go back to school, you can make these shelf talkers for your library, put the books out. Students would just take their device, their Chromebook or their phone or their iPad, they scan that with the camera, and then boom, they have immediate access. That's called a shelf talker. And anytime you have a resource on teaching books that talks, there will be a shelf talker. Now, in order to do that sharing, I had to be logged in. So you want to be sure that you create an educator login, and you do that just by putting in your work email. It will know you're supposed to have access and walk you through creating your login. And then you can make lists, you can share things, you can create multiple multi-level lessons, and so on. Now, if you know exactly what you want, you can just search in the big search box. For example, one of the hottest books of the year is Stamped, also by Jason Reynolds and by Ibram Kendi. It's a remix for young adults and great for teachers too, because there is an amazing book guide from the publisher. It's 22 pages long, but it gives you ideas about how to do research, how to have conversations about Black Lives Matter, and so on. You don't have to think the questions up on your own. There are guides and vocabulary lists and all kinds of things to help you teach these resources. But now sometimes you, maybe you've read this already and you think, oh, I like this book, but I need something like it, but not this one. Then all you have to do is at the top of a page, click Discover Like Books, and you'll see lots of ways that this book might hook you. Maybe you want more books by the author. Maybe you want more books for social studies because teaching books is not just ELA. Maybe you want books about race and racism, so you look at these lists. Or maybe you need books on a particular lexile. You can just click the lexile range, and now you have 7,000 books to choose from. Choose your grade level. Choose any other filters over here that you'd like, and then sort it however you want. Maybe I sort it by year published, and you can see the newest books are now at the top. Ooh, like The Rise and Fall of Charles Lindbergh, a great biography, one of 4 books with 6-starred reviews this year. Sometimes you don't know what you want though, and so you can click on Browse. You can browse all the books and use your filters, or series, or awards, or you can see all the collections we have. You could, for example, choose by cultural area. Say I choose Latinx. And now I want to choose grade level 4 to 8. And I want my kids to practice fluency, so I'm going to do Reader's Theater Script. Now I have 14 for upper elementary and middle school. For example, here's Esperanza Rising, and now I have a Reader's Theater Script. And we can even do that together over our Zoom lesson. Or I could send this, click on that arrow, and send it down to the teacher who might like to do it instead. You can also browse by curricular area. Say, let's go STEAM. And choose a grade level. I'll go with 4 to 8 again. And this time I'm going to narrow it by Meet the Author recordings, because I want to know the backstory. And here's a story about female astronauts. And I can listen to the Meet the Author recording and find out more about the women, the 13 women who dared to dream. So those are just some of the ways that you can search, browse, and share at Teaching Books. Let me give you one more bonus thing. There is a place for educators. And one of the things we've done to help you is put some virtual teaching ideas. These are ready to use ideas that deepen connections to books, or inspire your reading, or just help you decide what to use, because there's so many options. If I choose secondary, for example, I can click on online activities and I can get some ideas about how to use these resources. Or this is our newest thing. We have a template for you to use, a Bitmoji library, classroom, and virtual bulletin boards. And all of these you can just make a copy and download it. For example, here's a library. These are all posters. And if I click on the poster, it takes me to a resource in Teaching Books. And if I use a share link to embed that, then whoever clicks on it goes straight to the resource. You'll see a fantasy room. You'll see an activity that it might inspire you. Maybe you teach history. You could use books. There are also links to list of books and Black Lives Matter and other things like that. So whether you use art or you are using books in any way, you can use these virtual resources. Just adapt them to use them however you want to. And that just gives you a little bit about what Teaching Books is. Again, it is a collection of resources that bring books to life, and we hope that it will make things so much easier for you as well. Does anyone have a question? If there's no questions, I want to show you one more thing. If you do have a question, just put it in the chat box. Lots of people have been coming to Teaching Books desperate for ebooks, and though it's not an ebook platform, we do have complete book readings. So I can go complete book readings, and I can choose my grade level. Let's choose 7 to 12. and I'll just scroll through. You can see some examples. Some of these are complete, the whole thing, and some, because they're a novel in verse, it's the whole poem. So here is a complete reading of Romeo and Juliet, for example, and is an audio complete reading, so I can listen to it and I can read it at the same time, and I can even download it so I don't have to use bandwidth while I'm listening. Yes, you will get a recording of what we're talking about today, so you can go back and play and pause, as I like to say. The virtual resources are for educators, virtual teaching, and then you choose whatever grade level that you want. This is a new thing. If you work in middle school or 5th or 6th grade, we have these timely topics where we're helping you decide what to choose from the candy store, and we're giving you some ideas. You might choose this book, do these things, play these resources, and so on. These are ready to use activities and author studies. All right, so I'm going to stop my share now, and I'm going to pass the screen to Wendell at ProQuest. And I'm going to put my contact information in the chat box. Wendell's all yours.
Great, thank you, Deb. And welcome to the session, everyone. I'll give you just a few seconds to recover or to think about what Deb has just presented as I start up. And you should be able to see my screen. And again, welcome to the session. I am Wendell Butler, and I'm a training and consulting partner at ProQuest. And I'd like to introduce our resources that are available to you for middle school and high school research and study. So for today's session, I want to show you the resources that we have that can help you to develop student research skills at a very young age. And that's part of the goal of the ProQuest resources, to introduce students to resources that can help them to develop their research skills really at a really young age. So this is a list of all of the resources that you have from ProQuest. We have a total of 7 different resources or research databases that are available to you immediately. Now, most of these are geared towards middle school and high school students, and I'll just quickly go through the list to give you a description of each of these, and then we'll go live into 2, maybe 3 of these products if the time allows. But Culturegrams is a resource to understand world cultures. It provides a framework that will allow you to begin studying the set of customs and traditions that define cultures around the globe. So it's appropriate for all grade levels. There is an upper school version. The World Edition would be a 9th grade reading level and can be applied to high school studies. SIRS Discoverer is for a mix of elementary and middle school students. And just to help you, that acronym SIRS is Social Issues Resources Series. You'll have a lower school version, and this is a product that can be used at both elementary and middle school, whereas the Issues Researcher, which is the next one in the list, it starts around a 6th grade reading level. So it's really up to you to determine which is more appropriate for your students, or they can use both versions. So Issues Researcher, and then eLibrary is our large general reference resource. It covers thousands of topics, and it has editorial oversight to make sure that students are getting the best content on all of those topics through our research topic pages. And then you'll have a more academic resource, ProQuest Central Student. That is the same content that you'll find on SIRS and on eLibrary, but it's on our academic platform to help ensure students are prepared for academic and scholarly research. And then the next resource you're seeing is School and Educators Complete. That's a collection of ebooks. And lastly, ProQuest Research Companion, which is our interactive skills tutor. So over the next few slides, I'll give you a little more information on these resources. But why would you start with a resource like ProQuest SIRS, and eLibrary. So these logos represent each of those products, but our resources are meant to build information literacy skills, again, at a very young age. We introduce students to multiple source types. We have tools within our product to help them with the research process. And of course, we want to make sure that students are being successful at their standardized tests and just being successful researchers. So our resources are meant to engage them, and they're all aligned with our national and state performance and curriculum standards. The next resource, or this resource, can help also with teacher support. So you can use this to help plan out your lessons. The databases or the resources here, eLibrary and SIRS, can supplement coursework and be an extension to the textbook. You can look at more current information on topics that you may be studying within these databases, because the databases are updated every day with new information. All of our resources have educator resources that give you something else to do and to further incorporate these tools into classroom learning. And they support study for standardized testing. And not only do you have ebooks in the Educators Complete, but there's ebooks in the SIRS products as well. So a little bit more information here on Culturegrams. You'll have content that will support all areas of the curriculum, their teaching activities, and interactive content. But that one you can explore at a later time. We're going to concentrate on SIRS and eLibrary today. So a little bit more about the Educators Complete as well. So this is more than 15,000 ebooks that are available to you. These can be used by not only students, but for educators as well. There are professional development titles that are applicable for elementary teachers as well as middle and high school teachers. So we also have the popular series Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And I include that because it is one that I've been asked about on a number of occasions. So I just like to put that out, that you can find the entire 11 titles within that series in School and Educators Complete. So for middle school, the two resources other than Culturegrams that you would be more apt to point your students to will be eLibrary on the left side of the screen. And see, eLibrary covers common assignments as well as every subject within your middle school and high school curriculum. On the other side of the screen, you're seeing the SIRS resource. And both of these have editorial oversight. So within SIRS, you'll find leading issues pages that give students one page with everything they need to know about a social issue. You'll get terms to know, an essential question with varying viewpoints, and matching articles to help students defend their viewpoint once they've determined how they feel about an issue. Then there's a critical thinking question, timelines, and always a visual literacy exercise. And we're going to go into the product and look at that in the live environment. At the high school level, you still want to introduce your students to the SIRS Issues Researcher and the eLibrary resource. This is also good for community colleges as well. But these two products help to ensure that students are developing their critical thinking skills. Again, these cover many areas of your high school curriculum. There's some research guides that you can use. eLibrary has extensive career information, STEM information, and it helps to build foundational knowledge, again, for many diverse topics. This is the academic platform, or the landing page that allows you to begin using ProQuest Central Student. It has multiple source types, and this is the tool that can help you to make sure that your students are prepared for scholarly or academic research. So this interface is widely used in college prep institutions as well as colleges and universities. So your students will be familiar with the ProQuest database or the ProQuest interface once they get to college. And then there's the research companion. This is the last tool that I'll talk about before we go live into the product. But our research companion is an interactive skills tutor that is meant to teach or reinforce the steps of the research process. It helps to prepare students for academic research by giving them a tool to find information, to evaluate the information that they found, and to finally effectively use or to write their paper. So you'll have learning modules as well as tools. And again, this is an interactive skills tutor that's built to support information literacy and support writing. But there will be 11 different modules or 10 different modules, starting with where do I start? How do I choose a topic? Where do I find that information to support my topic? How do I evaluate sources? What counts as evidence? And how to write a thesis statement? And you're seeing the others on screen as well. But each one of these, you can choose whether you want to read a text-based report or whether you want to the student or the staff member to look at a video. And you can even build a playlist. You can choose the lessons that you're trying to teach at that time and select components of each video to build a playlist. Under the tools, that's where you'll have the search aid that will allow you to search across the resources that I've introduced to you, or you can choose to just search across Google. You can attach any of your favorite research resources to this ProQuest Research Companion, and then there's a source evaluation aid allowing you to plug in the name of any source to get information about who publishes it, the intended uses of that source, and so on. And then there's a citation builder and a revision aid that helps students to write better papers. So to get set up, if you haven't been set up, remember Teaching Books hosts the setup form. So there's the URL for that. And if you need to reach out to us, you can contact us for setup or submit a case if you're having any technical issues. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and go over to the landing page for these resources. And this is our Homework Central portal. So this is what you'll have access to access all of the ProQuest resources. Now, this is my personal page, and the resources you have, you will not have the literature and the History Study Center, but everything else on this page will be accessible to you. I'm going to start with SIRS Discover to just give you a quick idea of what's covered in this resource that's meant for grade 6 and above. Remember that everything that goes into this resource is selected by a member of our editorial staff. We make sure that you have age-appropriate, interesting, thought-provoking content. So your students can use this, again, starting around 6th grade. They don't ever have to type in a keyword or a subject. They can just point and click their information. They can point and click their way to information on trending topics or what our editors have chosen to highlight for this particular month. But as I go through this carousel, you see lots of interesting topics on lions and Brazil, homelessness. So timely topics, things that have been in the news within the last 30 days. And then the editor's top picks might include things on literary figures, electoral college, just timely information that may spark a discussion in the classroom or support research for your younger learners. And at the bottom of the page, it shows you our core areas. So we know that young people do lots of research on animals and controversial issues. You can also find information for countries, states, and provinces, as well as our famous people section. I'm scrolling back to the top of the page to show you that you can also access all of those research areas from the drop-down menu, selecting to go out to these research topic pages. And this is where you find the nonfiction books within SIRS Discoverer. And they cover all of the topics that are covered here. I like to highlight the curriculum activities because there's lots of activities within these books, but there's over 500 100 books that are available to you. They can be downloaded as a PDF, so the students can read them on their handheld devices, or they can just choose to read on screen. You can sort all of this information on any screen between what's trending and what's last updated. So I'm going back to research topics, to the controversial issues, and just quickly show you the layout of one of the pages here. So on each page for our young learners, they'll have terms that they need to know, along with an essential question, viewpoint articles, critical thinking, and at the top, I'm just seeing an overview of the topic. There are the terms that I would need to know if I'm looking at information on video games. There's an essential question: do violent video games adversely affect children's behavior? On both sides of the page, you have a viewpoint along with articles that will help you to defend the viewpoint that you've selected. And then there's even more viewpoint articles to give your learners more content about the issue. A critical thinking question and a visual literacy exercise that in most cases is an editorial cartoon that will help your students to, or provide questions to help them to interpret what that cartoon is saying. So all of that builds the critical thinking skills for our young learners. And at the bottom of the page, we're seeing the areas where these articles or where these topics have been categorized under controversial issues and then video game violence. So I'm going to move on to the next resource. I'm going to go to the upper school version of this, the issues researcher. You'll see that the topics here are a little more controversial. That's why we divide them into middle school and high school. But here you're going to see some more complex issues. You see on the screen things like mental health and animal experimentation and capital punishment. So, those are topics that would be more applicable for high school and then the middle school students. But in the editor's picks, we're seeing police brutality and unemployment and racial profiling, those types of topics. So I'm going to select one and show you the layout here. Let's get back to virtual classrooms. And here we'll see a layout that is very similar to the one I showed you in SIRS Discoverer, the middle school version, but there are your viewpoint articles. And remember that each one of these is an article. You just click there, you get the full text article with the summary at the top of the page. Your students can translate the articles into 20 different languages, or you can choose to use the text-to-speech feature where you have the article read aloud to you. You see this is a newspaper article from the New York Times on September 3rd, and we have a Lexile score for every article at the article level or at the page level. We can also cite the articles in MLA, APA, and Turabian formats, print or email, or save your article to cloud services. And I'm just showing you the full text article, the length of the article, the approximate reading level. Forgive me for scrolling so quickly, but just trying to get through all of the information. And at the bottom of each article, just get in the habit of scrolling down to get the ability to look at related subjects for the articles that you've selected. So I'm scrolling back to the top of the page, just showing you the broad categories for SIRS Issues Researcher. There's 9 categories, and you can just choose to go to all of the leading issues. There's more than 360 leading issues pages that you can explore. And I also want to point out the educator resources that are accessible from the top of the page here. So this is where you'll find your A to Z list of all of the leading issues. You'll find the curriculum guides that will help your high school students and even middle school students to interpret editorial cartoons, infographics, primary sources. There's the research guide. This is actually another guide that gives you the steps of the research process. It's a handout that you can use for any classroom that's doing research. Then there's another guide interpreting statistics and writing arguments. And there's even some note organizers that will allow your high school and middle school students to take notes and to turn those in as a part of their completed research process. Then here's the link to get to the curriculum standards. You just simply follow that link. It actually brings you to the ProQuest platform. So this is the same information, but it's just on a different search environment. And then you just select the state and you can begin to drill down and find information on your state. so or the standards for your particular state. And I'm still going to take just 1 minute to go to eLibrary to just show you the difference in content that you'll find between SIRS and eLibrary. Remember, eLibrary is general reference. This is not those social issues that we saw in the SIRS products, but to give you an idea, again, of what's covered here, information on careers. There are some controversial issues, but this will be likely different from what's in SIRS, but countries, environmental issues, there's the ability to look at famous people and historical events, and then your core subject areas. And I'll just quickly go to the career section to show you that there's over 1,100 research topic pages, so certainly you can find an area of interest for every student. And I'm just going to teacher because it's at the top of the page there, and we see that the layout for these pages is very similar to what you've just seen for the SIRS products. You get a gallery of photographs that you students can use to supplement their oral and written reports. There are articles looking at the outlook of this profession. Then there are articles looking at famous teachers. There's some quotes, and it shows you how to get to these articles and by going on this subject path from common assignments down to teacher and related research topics for the topic that you are currently exploring. Just like with the other product, you have the educator resources. This is where you can link out to the curriculum standards for high school and middle school. And this is just a way to toggle between eLibrary on the guided research platform, which is what we're looking at here. And you have the ability to go to the ProQuest platform, which is, again, a little more academic, a little more, I thought I had it open, but yeah, this is it. This is actually the ProQuest platform version, just a little more scholarly and academic, and it introduces students to what they'll use in college. Okay, so that's all that I have time to say. What questions do you have for me? Please feel free to put those in the chat. And I'm going to stop sharing and turn it back over to Deb. I'll still be able to address any questions that you have in chat. I'm going to put my contact information there as well.
All right, Wendell, thank you. We have been talking today about the California K-12 project of online content for all public students. I want to give you a little bonus. I've put a link in the chat box, and that is this slide deck that we've been using today. Please feel free to use this at your schools or throughout your district to just talk people through. There are some slide examples from all of the different vendors. If your district or your county office wants its own training, please contact me, Deb, at teachingbooks.net, and I will talk to you about what the possibilities might be and confer with my other team members. In the meantime, you may be wondering, well, how can I get access? So I'm going to put another link in the chat box. And this is the quick access that's provided to us by the state library. But what's really, really, really important is that every school gets, or district, county office gets set up properly. And in order to do that, you have to fill out, someone has to fill out the setup form, which starts a chain reaction and gets you IP authenticated, gets you usernames and passwords for all the products. And so you want to be sure that your district is signed up. So I'm putting another link in the chat, and that is the list of the unenlightened. These are districts that have not filled out the form for whatever reason. If your district or school is not on there, that is a good thing. So you want to be sure your school is not there. If it's there and you think it's a mistake, there's an email address for you to contact us and we'll straighten that out. But that form starts the process. And then you'll get the usernames and passwords for ProQuest, Britannica, and teaching books for your district or your county or your school. And then you can create your own educator accounts to personalize your access. These products are also available in your Clever, in Canvas, in Schoology. They all integrate with Google Classroom. They also integrate with your library catalog, Destiny, if you have that, also in Mac and VIA. It may be that they're already there and you just didn't know what they were. So be sure that you tell your colleagues that they have access. You can be the Oprah of the database and say, you get a database and you get a database and you get a database. It could be that they're on your county website or your district website. But we do have buttons for your school home pages. You would go to teachingbooks.net/CA code and you will get the code for buttons for all the products, and you just click and go. If you're a private school, it's very similar. It's teachingbooks.net/CA code 1, and that will give you buttons for Teaching Books and Britannica School. And then we do have support. If you click on all these links, they'll take you to support pages and also the state library who is supporting this project as well. And that's another place where you'll see the quick access page, which is temporarily here to help us during this COVID crisis and make sure that everyone has access to these amazing resources. If you need help, there is help for all of the products underneath these buttons, so you can also see there for technical support. If you need help with setup and integration, please contact Nick Glass, who's acting as the project coordinator for integration and data. And there's his contact information. Again, I'm Deborah Ford Salyer at deb@teachingbooks.net. And you're welcome to call me, text me, and I'm happy to help you with anything with teaching books and also to help you roll out the project. Here again is Laurel Green's information and ProQuest information and our Wendell Butler, who is our ProQuest trainer. So we thank you once again for joining us today and finding out a little bit more about the project. We hope that you will share the news so that all students can have access to this wonderful information that has been provided through Prop 98. And if you have any questions at all, just reach out and contact us.